Basically, what I'm going to do this morning is be a two-part series, but it is going to be a two-part series now. It's just sort of developed that way. But as Mark said, I'm sharing from Ecclesiastes, and honestly, after 45 years of ministering, I could count on one hand the number of sermons that I have preached based on the book of Ecclesiastes. You say, why is that? Probably the opening statement of the book gives you the reason. In Ecclesiastes, Solomon examines the meaning of life, and his conclusion is that all is empty, futile, and meaningless. He says human life, in fact, we just start right at the beginning. You probably know how Ecclesiastes starts. It starts with that phrase, vanity of vanities, all is vanity. And that word vanity means empty, futile, and meaningless. In fact, the Hebrew word for vanity is also translated as a vapor. You've watched a saucepan, boiling water, and you've seen the vapor rise, and there it goes, and there it's gone. And that's life. It's meaningless. That's what he says. And actually, he uses that word 38 times in the book. So he's stressing that point. It's meaningless, it's meaningless, it's meaningless. Vanity of vanities, all is vanity. When you see something that says that of that, the same word, it's what we call a superlative in the English language. Vanity of vanities. It's the thing of the highest order. So he's saying when you look at what is meaningless, nothing is more meaningless than life. Pretty depressing. You understand now why I haven't preached much on the book of Ecclesiastes. What he's saying is that life doesn't have a meaning. Life doesn't have a purpose. It consists of these repetitive, monotonous cycles. Repetitive, monotonous cycles. One generation passes away and another generation comes, but the earth abides forever. The sun also rises and the sun goes down and hastens to the place where it arose. The wind goes towards the south and it turns around to the north. The wind whirls about continually and comes again on its circuit. All the rivers run into the sea, yet the sea is not full. To the place from which the rivers come, there they return again. How true that is. Look at nature itself. Look at the way this world is ordered. It's cyclical. The sun rises, we meet another day. And then the sun sets. And that continues every day. The sun rises, the sun sets. The sun rises, the sun sets. You look at the seasons. They come round each year as sure as eggs. There's going to be, we're now entering into the winter period. We've just been talking about that. And we know it's going to come. That life is full of cycles. You look at, the oceans, they draw, the atmosphere draws water from the oceans, and the rain clouds form, they go to the land, they empty on the land, the water runs into the rivers flow back into the seas, and the cycle continues. That's what he's saying. Everything continues in this cycle. That which has been is what will be. That which is done is what will be done. And there is nothing new under the sun. Is there anything of which it may be said, see, this is new? It has already been in ancient times before us. In fact, you hang on to those clothes, they'll come back into fashion again. In fact, I think some of you have held on for the last... But you just look at life itself. People get up, get in the car, drive to work, to earn money, to pay for the car that gets them to work. And they go in this cycle. Or some get up and sing the national mortgage anthem. I owe, it's off to work I go. And these cycles continue. It's just like nothing new under the sun. Same old, same old. We're now entering into election week. And what's the thing that you're hearing most of all? People are sick of it. Why? Because we know what's coming. been there, done that, seen it all, got the t-shirt, we know what's going to happen. This side's going to put down this side, try to find some dirt on them, get some gotcha moments, going to make big promises themselves. If they get elected, they get elected, and then what happens? They don't fulfill the promises. They blame the previous party with cleaning up after their mess, blah, blah, blah. Then there's infighting, then there's a coup. We know what's going to happen. There's nothing new under the sun. That's why people just can't be bothered. That's why it's a law that you must vote, because people wouldn't vote otherwise. Isn't that right? That's right. The whole of creation is groaning, Paul says, since the fall. The whole of creation is groaning. Look at what he says here. There is no remembrance of former things, nor will there be any remembrance of things that are to come after those who will come after. So he's saying even though life is meaningless, we do the best we can, but it makes no difference. Nobody's going to remember you when you're gone. Soon after you're gone, they'll forget all about you. They might remember you now and again, but it's not like you've made what's the purpose? That's what he's asking all the way through. There is no purpose, there is no meaning. And as I say, Paul says this is a result of or an evidence of the whole of creation groaning since the fall. The earth was cursed, and a part of the curse is that everything you want, you have to get by toil. You've got to work at it. You've got to work hard for it. You've got to go for it. And so that's what life is. It's a toil every day to get through the day, to survive, to stay alive. Whether you look at it on a daily basis or a weekly basis, paying our bills, getting money to put fuel in the car, put food on the table, you get through the week and think, made it. But then you've got another week. Starts over again. Here we go again. And you do it on a monthly basis or a 3-monthly basis, and it just keeps repeating. Here we go again. We got through this period, but now we're starting a new period, a new cycle. I think that's why people get excited when there's a new year. Ring out the old, ring in the new, as if things are going to be different. Happy New Year. It's going to be different now. But it's not. Same old, isn't it? Come on, but there's this whole promise. It's going to be new. It's a happy new year. Things are going to be different, but they're not different. And so he says it's meaningless. It's absolutely meaningless. So you ask, well then, why is such a depressive book in the Bible? Why is this book in the Bible in the first place? Well, Solomon wanted to examine the meaning of life. And there was nobody more qualified than he to investigate the meaning of life. He had wisdom from God more than anyone else. Amen. He had money. He could pay for anything he wanted to research this subject. He had time on his hands, and he wanted to investigate the meaning of life. He says, I, the preacher, was king over Israel in Jerusalem, and I set my heart to seek and search out by wisdom concerning all that is done under heaven. This burdensome task God has given to the sons of men by which they may be exercised. Now, when you look at him, I say nobody was more qualified, nobody was more equipped. He did have extraordinary wisdom. You know the story of Solomon, the biblical account. God came to him in a dream and said to him, ask for anything. And that was the one thing he asked for. Give me wisdom. That was wise in itself, wasn't it? Give me wisdom. And God was so delighted that he asked for that. He said, you could have asked for riches, you could have asked for fame, you could have asked for success. I'm going to give you all those things as well as giving you wisdom. But, having this wisdom wasn't just so that he could be smart. He was smart. In fact, the Bible gives just one illustration of when, you remember those two ladies in a house together, and they both had babies, and one of them seemed to have smothered its baby while she was asleep at night, and when she woke up, her baby was dead. And so she took the other baby and put the dead baby in this mother's bed. You remember the story? And so the mother realized that this is not her baby, so they came to Solomon to sort it out. And Solomon said, easy, bring a sword. We'll cut it in half. And of course the true mother said, no, don't give it to her. Give the baby to her. The other mother, whose baby it wasn't, said, no, fair's fair. Half each. So I said, that's not the mother. That's the mother. Give the baby to her. Just an incredible act of wisdom, you know. But that's not why he was given wisdom, just so he could be smart and judge individual cases like that. He was the one assigned to search out for the meaning of life on planet Earth, under the sun. We're looking at this phrase that keeps occurring, under the sun, under the sun. He's looking for what is the reason of life on this planet. What's it all about? What is the purpose of it all? And he was given wisdom to research that. Nobody was more qualified and equipped than he was. Now we know that in his early years, sadly, he turned away from the Lord. Because David was a man of war and he won all the battles and he gave the kingdom to Solomon. And Solomon, whose name means peace, Shalom, Solomon, he wanted to establish peace with the nations around. So he married many women from those nations so that he could build an allegiance and have a peace treaty with those nations. But sadly, those women brought their gods and their religions into the kingdom and turned Solomon's heart away from the Lord. Very sad. Very sad. God didn't turn away from Solomon, but Solomon did turn away from the Lord. And so, in a sense, the divine element was lacking largely in that wisdom. But still, he had wisdom more than any other human being. Let's have a look at what he said. He said, I commune with my heart, saying, look, I have attained greatness and have gained more wisdom than all who were before me in Jerusalem. My heart has understood great wisdom and knowledge. I set my heart to know wisdom and to know madness and folly. So he said, that's what I'm going to do with this wisdom. I'm going to devote it to finding out what's wise and what's stupid in terms of our lives. How to live life on planet Earth. What's it all about? What's the meaning? What's the purpose to it all? He said, I perceive that this also is grasping for the wind. For in much wisdom is much grief. And he who increases knowledge increases sorrow. He said, I discovered the more I found out, the more depressed I was. The more wisdom you have, you get more depressed than those who don't know so much as you. That's interesting, isn't it? Be careful what you pray for. Okay, the other thing that kind of equipped him is that just the sort of person he was a sort of person given this assignment, okay, find the meaning of life. Yes, I will. I'm going to explore life to the max. He wasn't a dull sort of character, Solomon. He wasn't a party pooper. He wasn't a killjoy. You give him the go-ahead to explore life and enjoy it as much as you can. He's the sort of person who says, I will do that. That's exactly what I will do. And so he pursued pleasure. I said in my heart, come now, I will test you with mirth. Therefore, enjoy pleasure. I've got the green light from God. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to enjoy every pleasure there is on earth. But surely, he said, this also was vanity. I said of laughter, madness, and of mirth, what does it accomplish? I searched in my heart how to gratify my flesh with wine, while guiding my heart with wisdom, and how to lay hold on folly, till I might see what was good for the sons of men to do under heaven all the days of their life. That's not many people can do that. I'm going to give myself to pleasure to the max. I'm going for it. That's what he's saying. Did he? Well, let's have a look in the book of Kings. Now, Solomon's provision for one day was 30 cores of fine flour. I'm going to look up how much a core is. I don't know. I didn't have time to do that, but I think it's a lot, because when he saw how much it was, he said, core, that's a lot, isn't it? Now, Solomon's provision for one day was 30 cores of fine flour, 60 cores of meal, 10 fatted oxen. This is for every day. 10 fatted oxen, 20 oxen from the pastures, and 100 sheep, beside deer, gazelles, roebucks, and fatted fowl. Now, do you think he ate all that on his own? He didn't. Come on over, we're having a party. Every day. Every day. He partied hard. The claret was flowing. The table was full of every kind of food you could imagine. And every day he enjoyed it. But then he said, it's madness. What does it accomplish? I'm getting bored with it. Basically, is what he was saying. Okay? So he goes deeper, because we're deeper than just physical pleasures. He has a soul, and the soul is creative. The soul can explore, the soul can accomplish things. And so he created many great works. He said, I made my works great. I built myself houses. Now, he didn't just build his dream house. He built a temple for the Lord, and he built a palace for himself. It took decades to build. Magnificent works. I planted myself vineyards. I didn't just plant a rose garden. I planted myself vineyards. I made myself gardens and orchards. I planted all kinds of fruit trees in them. I made myself water pools from which to water the growing trees of the grove. I acquired male and female servants and had servants born in my house. Yes, I had greater possessions of herds and flocks than all who were in Jerusalem before me. I also gathered for myself silver and gold and the special treasures of kings and of the provinces. I acquired male and female singers, the delights of the sons of men, and musical instruments of all kinds. So I became great and excelled more than all who were before me in Jerusalem. Also my wisdom remained with me. So he was able to explore life to the full. And the glory of his kingdom was renowned. The fame of the glory that he created went to many other countries. And we know the story that the Queen of Sheba heard about it. And she thought, it can't be that good. I'm going to go and see for myself. So she traveled to see the glory of Solomon's kingdom. And what did she say? I wasn't told half of it. It is magnificent. It is incredible. But he said it's all vanity. That's the word that he came up with. He did, and he had anything he wanted to. He had 700 wives. I didn't say anything. You said it. 700 wives and 300 porcupines. I mean concubines. So he said, that's enough. I think I've explored that realm too, to the max. Amen? He explored it all. He did and had anything he wanted. Whatever my eyes desired, I did not keep from them. I did not withhold my heart from any pleasure. For my heart rejoiced in all my labor, and this was my reward from all my labor. Isn't that incredible? He said, I had and I did anything I wanted. Now, this book of Ecclesiastes is a response to those who say, if only I had this, my life would be happier. If only this could be different. He had everything he wanted. There was nothing that he said, well, I still haven't tried this. I want to go there. I want to do this. There's nothing he left unexplored. Do you see what we're saying here? He was given this wisdom to examine the meaning of life under the sun. You know, you've heard that saying, money can't make you happy. My response to that is, all I want is the chance to prove that money can't make me happy. Just give me the chance. I'll come back to you. I'll let you know. But seriously, he did explore it. And he said, nah, it's all vanity. It is all vanity. Let's have a look what he did say. I looked on all the works that my hands had done, and on the labor in which I had toiled, and indeed all was vanity, meaningless, and grasping for the wind. There was no profit under the sun. That's the phrase, under the sun. You've got to remember that this experiment of Solomon was confined to earth, to looking at things under the sun on this planet, the pleasures that the created things can provide. And so, in searching for meaning for life in created things, he said, you won't find it there. Now, does that mean that there is no purpose to life? Does that mean that there is no meaning, therefore, to life? No, it doesn't, because that's not what he's saying. It's not what he was saying. In fact, he goes on to say, his search for the meanings of life is limited to things on earth. There is nothing under the sun that answers fully to the purpose of our existence, or which can completely fulfill us. This does not mean that life has no purpose. He says, to everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under the heaven. Our lives are not only under the sun, S-U-N, but under the sun, S-O-N. That's what makes the difference. And that's what I say, God chose Solomon knowing that he would turn away from the Lord to show that whatever he turned to, leaving God out, would leave him empty. Isn't that amazing? God chose Solomon. See, God can make all things work together for good. He says, okay, you're going to be a backslidden king. I will use this backslidden king who will explore life to the max, do anything and everything that's in his heart to do, anything he wants to do, and then come back with the conclusion, it's all vanity because I've left God out of my life. So you actually see that when you understand the book of Ecclesiastes, it's an amazing book. It's an incredible book, because in it we have a revelation that probably no other book can give us in that kind of depth and detail. But for the righteous, Solomon says it's different. For I considered all this in my heart, so this I could declare it all. So that I could declare it all. That the righteous and the wise and their work are in the hand of God. Wow. See, you can build a temple or you can build a palace, but if God is not in your heart, you will look back on it and say, what's the point of it all? Or you can do a simple task as the righteousness of God in Christ, which you are, and see great meaning with eternal value and significance to that small task that maybe goes unnoticed. That's the difference. Amen? Because you are righteous, because you put your trust in Jesus, your sin was imputed to him. His righteousness was imputed to you. You're in the hand of God now. You're not just under the sun. You're under the Son of God. Nothing in your life is without meaning. Nothing in your life is without purpose. Hallelujah. So he goes on to say that there is much more than that which is under the sun. He has put eternity in our hearts. That's the key. Except that no one can find out the work that God does from the beginning to the end. You won't get that by human wisdom. But God has put eternity in your heart. You know, friends, I believe every human being somehow instinctively knows that there was once a paradise on this planet. Amen? There once was a Garden of Eden. I mean, they would not articulate it in that sense. But they know that there's something wrong and it's not what it should be now on earth. And everyone is searching for the meaning. Everyone is looking for purpose. Everyone is trying to improve their life and better their circumstances, thinking, if only I had this, if only I could get that, my life would be so much better. Someone says, give up. What the true. Amen? On this fallen planet, everything is broken, but we look to broken people to fix us, blind leading the blind. Amen? That's life on planet Earth, and everybody's saying, what's the point of it? Or where is the meaning to this life? Who can provide the answer? This is his conclusion in the last chapter. Let us hear the conclusion of this whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments. In other words, it's not talking about the laws, but do things God's way. Fear God. That reverential fear, that respect, that you respect God so highly, you know that he is the one that makes life have meaning and purpose, and that puts it all back together. So this book that began by saying all is meaningless ends up by saying all without you is meaningless. Amen. It's a great book. When you look at it correctly and accurately, it's a great book because he comes to that conclusion. All but you is meaningless. You know, at the fall, God vacated the heart, and there was a great chasm in our heart. You know, don't get this idea that life is in compartments and, this is work, this is fun, this is pleasure, this is recreation, this is God, like a little part. No. When God is not there, there's a great chasm. And whatever of these little toys we take to try to fill that chasm, there'll still be this aching vacancy, vacuum in our lives. Amen? That's what Solomon demonstrates here so clearly. I think it was Augustine that said, God has made us with a God-shaped room in our hearts, and only he can fill it. Words to that effect anyway. Only he can fill it. Now, friends, that's not saying in any way that don't bother with the things of this world, because God doesn't say that. God gives us all things richly to enjoy. In fact, I believe that only a Christian can truly enjoy life to the full, because God is at the center. And so Paul says, you walk through this world as using the things of this world, not abusing them. You abuse them when you try to substitute them for God. Take created things and try to replace the Creator. It doesn't work. Amen? But we go through this life, enjoy the wine, enjoy the food, enjoy the pleasures of this life, enjoy friendships, enjoy relationships, enjoy your works, enjoy everything you do. God has given you all things richly to enjoy. He's a good God. Amen. He's blessed us. He doesn't take from us, he gives to us. But if we take him from us, it's like it all just collapses in a heap. Left asking the question, what's the meaning of life? What's the purpose to all this? Why this has become a two-part series is because Solomon wrote another book called The Song of Solomon. And it's the counterpart. I see it as the counterpart because for those with spiritual eyes, it's clearly a picture of the relationship between the church and Christ, the bridegroom and the bride. We'll get into that next time more fully. But it's interesting, I talked about the superlative, vanity of vanities. Do you know how it starts? The Song of Songs. The Song of Solomon is called the Song of Songs. Do you know how many songs Solomon wrote? 1,005. More than Lennon and McCartney. But only one survived. We only have one, and it's the Song of Solomon. And it's all about Jesus and how he can fill our lives to overflowing. You know, the Shulamite woman who's a picture of the church, who's initially caught up with her works working in the vineyard, but then she sees the king. And wow, she's drawn to him. There's something more than the works, more than the service. And it's the king. And she pursues the king and this love relationship with the king. And she says, he's altogether lovely. Altogether lovely. You know what? The word glory, when we talk about the glory of God, you know what that word really means? It means the sum total of all his attributes. When you study every aspect of Jesus, every aspect of his attributes. Yeah, you can look at his what we call exclusive attributes, his omnipotence, his omniscience, his omnipresence, his infinity, and all those things, his eternity. But then you look at the moral aspects, his truth, his faithfulness, his goodness, his loving kindness, his love, his grace. and on it goes. And you bring it all together, and it's like as she studies the king, she says, he's altogether lovely. If I have everything but I don't have him, I have nothing. But if I have nothing but I have him, I have everything. So that's why it doesn't matter in terms of how many of these world's goods you have. What is more important is how much of your heart does he have? Amen? How much of your heart does he have? And friends, even though this is probably meant to be directed to the world, to the unsaved, to call them, to say, look, the reason you're depressed, the reason you run from one job to another, from one marriage to another, from one relationship to another, from one pursuit to another, is because you're empty, seeking for created things to fill that which only the Creator can fill. That's probably a message to the world, but I just feel, you know what, it's a message to the church. I really do. You know, the more I look at the church today, I believe that it's fast approaching days of apostasy. And I don't want to sound negative, but I just see that Jesus is being substituted. Jesus is not the message. Jesus is not the focus. His name can be used in a subtle way, but it's not like he's being pursued. And if you want to use that word revival, this is the kind of revival that the church needs right now, is to come back to see that it's all about Jesus. Otherwise, it's all vanity of vanities. You know, we're not building his kingdom, we're building our own kingdom. We're competing with other churches, and it becomes this circus. I honestly do believe that there will be a revival, because I see many people coming back to Jesus, largely through the grace message. But they're coming back to see that only Jesus can satisfy. And I've said to you before that I reckon the greatest prayer in the Bible, the greatest prayer, you cannot pray a prayer greater than that. It's the one that you find at the end of Ephesians chapter 3, where Paul, having spoken about our position in Christ, okay, that we're complete in him, we're seated with Christ in the heavenly places, we're holy, we're blameless, all those things, they're a given. But having said that, he prays that God would strengthen our hearts, that we might be strengthened in our inner man. He says that we, being rooted and grounded in love, may be able to comprehend now with all the saints. Did you get that? With all this, not in isolation. God is going to do something in churches where people gather together of like mind that want to know more of the love of God. You will never know it in its fullness on your own. We need to come together and learn from one another, receive from one another. He says that you might comprehend with all the saints what is the depth and the length and the breadth and the height, and to know the love of Christ, which passes all understanding. Do you know what he ends up by saying? It's something which you say, that's not possible surely. But he says this, that you might be filled with all the fullness of God. Wow. That's basically what Solomon was saying. I wish I got there, like, you know, in my life. But I'm telling you from experience, I didn't get there. I went the long way round. But Paul says to us that we, having understood that we're loved unconditionally by Christ, we're rooted and grounded in him, our salvation is secure. There's nothing that can make God love you more, nothing can make you love us. But our enjoyment of that is in our hearts. That's why we find Jesus outside the church at the end of the age, knocking on the door. If any man opens the door, I will come in and what's up with him? We'll have tremendous intimate fellowship, close fellowship. Enjoy one another. That's what we signed up for. Amen? Right at the beginning, that was our first love. We fell in love with Jesus. And then all of a sudden the distractions started coming in, and we got diverted here, we got diverted here, we got burnt out there. Amen? Is there a purpose to life? under the sun, S-O-N, yes. Jesus said, this is the purpose. This is the purpose of life eternal, that they might know you, the only true God, and Jesus Christ, whom you have sent. That's the purpose. If our purpose, I mean, we can have other pleasures, we can have other things to do, but if our purpose is not that, we will say vanity of vanity. We look back on everything as a pile of ash and say, what was the point of it all? What did it accomplish? But if Jesus is at the heart, then we will say, he's altogether lovely. He's altogether wonderful. Amen? Amen. I'm looking forward to sharing the second part as we go into the Song of Solomon. I'm looking to share that second part with you and just get some things out of the Song of Solomon, which I believe are for the church today. I genuinely do believe that there'll be that kind of revival. Not the kind of revival that people are looking for where, you know, people are going to be falling down in the streets repenting, all that sort of stuff. That'd be great if that happened. But I think the revival is to come alive again. The church is dead to its first love. But that will come. That's coming back. I see it now. I see people who have gone the long way round, done the scenic tour, and said, nah, it's all about Jesus. I want to come back to him. I'm coming back to the heart of worship. It's all about him. Amen? Amen. Let's pray together. Father, we just thank you this morning that you put such a book as Ecclesiastes in the Bible, and you allowed this man whom you love so much, and you never turned away from him, though he turned away from you. We thank you, Lord, that you allowed him to explore life in ways that no other man possibly ever would be able to, and yet come to that conclusion that, Lord, you put eternity in our hearts, and until our hearts are really given to you, then we will always say, vanity of vanities, it's all meaningless. Lord, I pray for any here today that may have felt that in their own heart recently, that they've lost their way, that, Lord, we just come back to Jesus, not in a legalistic sense, not in a working sense, but just coming back to that rest in him, that relationship with him, hearing his voice, looking into his glorious face, and pouring out our love to him. We ask it, Lord, in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Amen.